Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Southbridge Street Live. I'm very honored to introduce you to my next guest. This is Cindy Tharp, and she is the author of Tattered Legacy, which is a very personal experience of finding your mother's Bible. So I'd love to visit with you about your inspiration for this story, the story behind the story. And she actually has a book signing this weekend on Saturday at Liberty Coffee Haus.
Right.
So if you guys would like to come and meet her in person, have your book signed and just be a part of the conversation, with you personally. So let's talk right away about Tattered Legacy and your inspiration, the story behind the story.
Well, my mom died a year ago this month, and us girls were going through her things, and the one thing that I really, really wanted was her old Bible that she used every day, and it's just beat up. I mean, it's taped together numerous times, and it's just
it's
really
well loved.
Yes, it is. And so I brought that home, and I just wanted it because it was a big part of her, and to have it in my hands, And I started going through it, and I noticed all these handwritten notes that she had put in there, and she had underlined things, and I didn't know that she'd been doing this for years, That Bible, I think, is 54 years old. And so I was just thrilled to be able to see those notes. It was my way to even get to know her even more. She was 94 when she died, and so...
Wow, but there was still some things that you didn't know after all of that time.
Yeah.
So what were some things that you learned about your mother while you were going through her notes?
That she lived what she underlined in her Bible. And the notes that she put in there became actually her legacy, that it was unfolding in front of everyone, but very quietly. We had no idea. And a very good example. I mean, she lived it.
Right. Are there any of those things that she underlined that sticks out in your mind the most?
Oh, boy, there's so many.
So much, yes.
So many. I can say that many times the things that she had underlined, I would go to my Bible and I had the same things underlined, and that was kind of...
Right. Wow. Now, were you raised obviously in a faith-based household?
Yes.
So, and then your siblings, was there any tension to who's going to have this Bible?
No, we're all really close, and there was no trouble as far as, who wanted what.
I didn't know if maybe perhaps your siblings were like, well, she'll get it naturally because her husband is a pastor.
No, not at all. There was no contest. It was like God just put this really deep desire in me to get a hold of that Bible. And I didn't know at the time what was going to come of it,
Are your sisters, these are your sisters?
Right.
So were your sisters so incredibly proud of you for putting this book together?
Well, I think, yes, now, but, they had no idea whether I could do this or not. I didn't even know if I could do this or not.
Love that.
And so
yes.
They supported me, but it was like, okay, I hope you're going to be okay.
Right.
But now, yes, they're very supportive.
So tell me about the writing process, because we have a lot of authors that, we've had as guests here.
Right. And I'm sure everybody's experience is a little bit different.
Sure, absolutely.
For me, I had tried to write a book years and years ago and got turned down. So there's lesson number one. You don't give up. If it's something that is really in your heart to do, then you might have to set it aside for a little while. And so that's what I did. And then this time around, I said, okay, Lord, if you really want me to do this, you're going to have to tell me what to do. And he said, we hear that still small voice. And he said, go to your mother's Bible. And I'd already been reading it. And so I did. And then I contacted TBN, who published the book through Trilogy. And they said, then I got a call from the acquisitions manager there. And he said, well, send me 6 examples. I didn't have anything written, nothing. written. And so I spent the week, because I really was just kind of throwing myself out there. I wasn't expecting this to happen so fast. And so over the weekend, I wrote 6 different devotionals and sent it to him, and away we went. And they were wonderful to work with. I had to do, well, I didn't have to. I wanted to do 13 revisions. I mean, I have a stack that big. It can be tedious if you don't enjoy that. I loved every minute of it. But it is work. It's not.
Right. And here's the thing that you touched on, right? It's a work of passion. And for writers, I think in particular, myself included, is you have to be in that place of passion.
Right.
You have to just write prolifically, and you'll know it's the right thing to write, whether whether a publisher agrees with you or not, because you'll just be writing.
Right. Right.
Although sometimes that's not the same. I can say just personally. I know that there are lots of authors that struggle, but they make sure that they write at a certain time, no matter what it is that they're writing. So what part of so tell me, when you were writing, was it going to be the story of how it came, or was it going to be the devotional, and how did that work its way in? Or do you have the story weaved into the devotional itself?
It was set out from the get-go to be a devotional. So
because this is hot off the press.
Yes.
So I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it released May 7th. And so I already had that. And then once I realized that this was Mom's legacy, then I had the theme.
Right.
And so I went through and just chose the things that I thought would be good for all of us to follow. And it's just, tell somebody something good about themselves, I mean, it's simple things like that that help everybody. And so some days, when I first started writing, I was doing really good, and then suddenly there was that, oh no, I'm not inspired, for a few days, and I was kind of freaking out about that, but then it came back. And so it was just a learning process the whole way.
What advice do you have for Christian authors?
Be yourself and do what the Lord tells you to do in what you're writing.
So now that it's finished,
yes,
I already can see, where my question's going.
Yes.
What's next?
I don't know. I'm still kind of, the book signings are kind of surreal to me, and I'm not a formal person, and so it's kind of an adjustment for me to think about this. But I would love to write another book. So, but I have nothing, there's a few ideas floating through my head, but I have not started anything yet. I wanted to kind of enjoy this while it was happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what is the process now? So technically it's hot off the press, May 7th. You're going to have a limited edition of copies, a limited number of copies, for Liberty Coffee Haus on Saturday.
On the 4th, right?
On the 4th. And then tell me about, the circuit for book signing, because I know you just on a personal level, so I know so this will really be new for you.
It is. I mean, I've had other businesses, so I kind of understand that, but never something like this. And so our family lives not in Texas. No one lives in Texas, and so everywhere that we go now, I'm planning on calling the bookstore in that area and saying, hey, would you mind? And so at least that's my plan. I haven't done it yet, and so that's the next step. And then just to see what happens through Amazon and Barnes & Noble on May 7th when it comes out.
Right. Wow, it's going to be in Barnes & Noble. So this wasn't self-published?
No.
So this was a publisher. Now I have to ask you something and it might not be an answer that but I see that Christian authors and Christian writing is becoming not popular. I really don't like that word, nor do I like trending. But what do you think that movement is? Where spiritual writings have really seen an increase over the last couple of years? Because I have theories, but I'd love to hear what yours is.
Well, mine is a theory as well. I think that people are really searching. I think that the world is getting meaner and meaner, and people are just really searching for something to hang on to that they can count on, that carries them through when they're going through a hard time, because as Christians, we don't have a perfect life. No one does. And but God is there to help us through it. And people are needing something like that to grab a hold of, because everything seems kind of a little bit chaotic right now. That's just
Right.
my theory.
Will you go back into
that
something
peace.
that was, which was the imperfectness? Was it tough to be married to is it tough being married to a pastor? I love that laugh. That's my favorite.
Well, there's always people that support you,
Right.
and they carry you through. I've always been my own person, and so, you know, when I was asked to, you know, you should as a pastor's wife, my answer always was, what God wants me to do, I'm doing, and I'm sorry if that's not what you want me to do.
Wow.
That's not, because you cannot please every single person in the congregation. You're always going to have somebody that's either upset
Right.
with you or doesn't like you from the outset, and so you can't live like that. It's a miserable place to be, and so you just kind of have to understand and learn that you are who God made you are, who you are, and you need to do what He says, because you're accountable to Him and not, you know, everybody else.
Right. When you were growing up, did you see yourself as a pastor's wife?
Oh, no. No, I wouldn't have imagined in a million years. I mean, God takes the people that you don't think would do something and has them, you know, accomplish that anyway in spite of themselves. And that's kind of, and I,
Right.
there were times when I wasn't very good at it, and there were times where, you know, it was okay. So I just did the best I could.
Now, what about as an author? Were there times in your life when you were younger that you thought, I'm going to write a book, I'll be a writer?
I
Something
did
enjoy?
try before, and I got turned down. And, you know, I look back.
It wasn't this book.
No,
It wasn't
it was
this,
a totally
this
different
story.
thing.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I was turned down. I can say that now.
That's awesome. Yep.
Because I wasn't ready for that. Not that I'm all mature now, but long way to go. But more so than way back, you know, 20 years ago,
Right.
hopefully. And so I'm thankful that that it didn't happen then. I think I would have been in a world of trouble, because my attitude was not what it needed to be.
Was
So-
it hard to get the rejection letter?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But you just go on and, you know, do
Right.
your daily grind and
But like you said, lesson number one, don't give up.
oh no,
Yeah.
don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's perfect timing for things, and what you learn from being rejected helps you in the next time. And what is that quote? Making a mistake doesn't mean you are a mistake. And that's so true. Just, we all make mistakes.
Right.
But we're not a mistake. We're just learning.
Right.
You know, you learn, oh, well, that wasn't maybe too much fun, but you move on.
So did you get the acceptance letter in the mail? I mean, I'm assuming that's email now, but you know,
Everything
did you?
is digital now. And so before you would send it through the mail, you know, I'm so glad we're
You'd
not
wait
doing that
and
anymore.
anticipate,
Oh, yeah.
yes?
No, you know, I mean, it's immediate now. And they
Wow.
call you on the phone, and they're emailing, you know, emails, lots of emails with the editor, with the publisher, with the designer. I mean, there's so many people involved to help you make you look good, you know, it's just an incredible process.
What was some of the feedback that you were getting when you could tell that there was interest?
Well, the first feedback that I got that really helped me with the theme of this was the acquisitions manager, who said, when I was telling him kind of my idea, and I said, you know, most people don't know my mom, so that's not going to be really a connection, but everybody has a mom.
Right.
And as I was talking to him, he said, you know, that really is your mom's legacy, what you're telling me about. And I hadn't thought of it like that, but he was right. So every person involved kind of helped move me on
Wow.
in the direction that I needed to go.
I love that. That's absolutely phenomenal.
You don't do it by yourself. There's a lot of people involved.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So what would you say when your sisters were reading it and things like that? What was the feedback that you got from them?
Well, they're my sisters, so I expected them to be kind about it, no matter what,
Right.
because they're family.
Sure.
And my dad is still living,
Wow.
and he's 94.
So what does he think? I've got to interject. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness. He was one of my biggest supporters and kept telling me, you can do this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to help so many people. It's, on and on. And
So powerful.
it was very powerful. And I couldn't wait for him to read it, because, well, married to my mom. And so it's hard. And they all shed a few tears, although, right at first, the people that have read the very first chapter, it is kind of a tearjerker, evidently, but then there's a lot of fun in it, too, so
Right.
it's not just that. But just very supportive and honoring my mom. Sorry, I've got some allergies going.
You're doing great.
So that's been his reaction. They're reading it slowly because it is a devotional, and so you're supposed to read it one a day.
Right.
And so they're trying to do that. It's kind of hard, but lots of support.
You mean as opposed to like skipping to the end?
Well, just reading the whole thing, all at once. Yeah.
Well, this is wonderful. Well, I wish you just such tremendous
Well,
success.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very honored that you came to come and talk.
Thank
and
you
I'm
for this.
Very much looking forward to the book signing.
Great.
And that
thanks.
is, again, it is 11 to 2.
Right.
It's at Liberty Coffee Haus.
Yes.
And it is 44 copies are available for sale. And that is Saturday, May the 4th.
A couple of days.
So, yeah, in just
Get
a few
some
days.
sweets and coffee while you're there.
There you
Miss
go.
Rachel is
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yes,
so.
she is. Yes, she is. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking
Thank
the time
you.
to come
Thank you.
on your busy book tour
Oh,
schedule.
right.
and coming here. And again, so if they don't, where can they get your book? Is on Barnes & Noble.
And Amazon.
And on Amazon. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I
Cindy,
appreciate it.
for coming here. She won't let me call her Mrs. Tharp.
Well, I am that. But,
No, I know, but
you
you
know,
were, yeah. Because we were talking earlier, too, about like how it's difficult to be like, now we're ma'ams.
well, yes, I'm used to it now. You're just getting into it. And I'm well used to that. Doesn't surprise me anymore. But
Well, thank you, ma'am. I think you're a wonderful person. I've enjoyed spending time with you and getting to know you.
well, thank you so
I'm
much.
looking forward to reading your book.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
And thank you guys so much for watching Southbridge Street Live.